So we in a new area for right now. I'm kind of liking it. It's kind of cozy. Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Alli Fitz and I'm back with another video. And if you're new here, hello, I love you already. Make sure you slap that subscribe button to become part of the FITZFAM today. We pretty lit, it's true. And once you've done that, make sure to follow my social medias over here to stay connected with your girl. And turn on those post notifications so you know all the tea first. Speaking of tea, my debut album, Mental Notes, is now available for pre-order. It comes out Friday, guys. That's in like 2 days. Today's Wednesday, 2 days. Technically, it comes out tomorrow night if you pre-ordered, so you should probably pre-order it so you don't have FOMO. We're gonna do a listening party on Twitter. It's gonna be fun. I might even live stream on TikTok. So make sure you have my notifications on so you know. And if you do pre-order, make sure to send me screenshots on Instagram, Twitter, and everything because I wanna put you on my other page because I like to repost from there from time to time. It's great. But anyways, now that self-promo is out of the way, y'all know that on Wednesdays I like to try different things. And I've been seeing quite a few YouTubers react to these true animated story things. I don't know, it seems fun. So shout out to My Story Animated. I hope you don't copyright strike me, but if you do, I understand. But like, here I am giving you a shout out right now, so please don't. Shout out to them. Follow My Story Animated, they rock. But anyways, let's get to the first video. All right, so I had to start with this video. It says, my girlfriend died after I kissed her. What happened? Did your breath stink? We have to find out. That's why we're here. Okay, y'all ready? Here we go. I've never really done one of these. I'm sorry if I talk over it. I'm gonna try not to. Let's turn it up. Ready, set, boom.
Ever since 8th grade, my best friend Leah and I promised that we would take each other to our senior prom.
Queen.
We'd even sworn it in blood. So this was a legit pact that we wouldn't let either of us break. At the time of our story, it was January, the beginning of the new year, and the new semester at school. Leah and I were headed to the lunchroom when she felt horrible pain in her knee.
Leah!
This pain was so bad that she lost her balance and fell to the ground.
Pause already. Leah fell out. Leah fell out. Hashtag Leah fell out. Moving on.
I grabbed her by her arm and pulled her up. She was shaking and her face was white. Leah, are you okay?
Right.
I asked. I wanted to try to get her to the lunchroom quickly, thinking that maybe she was just hungry and needed to sit down. She sat with her hands in her knees for a few minutes before finally answering me. Simon, I think something's really wrong with me. My knee has been hurting ever since I got kicked 2 weeks ago at the soccer game.
Ooh, she got kicked. See, that's why I don't play contact sports. Yikes.
She started to limp to the office, which was opposite of the lunchroom. I tried to stop her. Let's just get some food. No, I need the nurse, she said as she hobbled to the office.
She knows her
I helped her along the way, but as soon as she got there, she told me to go to lunch. Leah didn't make it to lunch that day. In fact, her mom picked her up early to take her to the hospital. I kept texting her all day long, hoping she would answer me and let me know that she was okay. It wasn't until around 8:30 that night that she finally texted back. She sent me a picture of an MRI, which is an x-ray of your body, and hers was of her knee, her lungs, and her neck.
What's wrong,
all of
Leah?
them were covered in spots.
Oh, no.
I didn't know what that meant, so I sent her a question mark. Almost instantly, my phone lit up. Leah was FaceTiming me. I pushed accept and saw her face for the first time since lunch. It wasn't as pale, but she looked tired.
I'm sad.
Hey, what's going on? Did you go to the doctor? Are you sick?
Why did he?
I asked.
Wait. Why did he say doctor like that? He said, did you go to the doctor? I swear he said it like that. I'm not crazy. It was funny. Let's move on.
Her eyes looked red and her hair was a mess. Leah could barely get the words out as she stared off the screen. I could see tears running down her cheeks. I have cancer, she stated, before bursting into tears. All of those pictures were of my body. I have tumors in several spots.
This is sad.
They told me I may not make it to graduation.
Why did I start
She set the phone down and all I could hear were her high-pitched wails and her mom in the background trying to calm her. Instead of listening to my best friend sob, I decided to drive over to her house even though it was late and I was going to miss curfew.
You're a real one.
I had to see her, to hug her, in case I didn't get the chance again. When I got to her front door, I didn't even knock. I just barged right in and ran to her room. Her mom was there hugging her, and I scooped in next to them. We all cried for a bit, and then when things calmed down, Leah turned to me. I have to start chemo next week. I nodded. I didn't know what to say. I grabbed her hand so she would know I'll always be there for her.
I'm real mad.
A couple months passed, and although Leah was doing good, she wasn't out of the woods. The tumors were shrinking, some of the chemo was working, but she was still struggling to live her day-to-day life. There were only a couple more days left until prom, and I was excited to finally pick out a corsage to put around her wrist. She was doing so good that the doctor
if I cry, mind your business.
Told her she could go to the dance, but she had to sit down for most of it. She was allowed to slow dance, but no crazy dancing.
No twerking,
she was okay
girl.
with that. And so was I. My other best friend Malik and I were out tux shopping. Leah's dress was going to be maroon and she wanted me to match. So I was going to every tux rental store I could find to try and match the perfect shade of her dress. It was harder than you might think. While we were at the 57th shop, my phone started to ring. It was Leah's mom. I answered, my voice already shaking. Hi, Simon. Leah's back in the hospital. She wants you to come up here when you can. I didn't even hesitate. I said goodbye and started to walk out of the store. Malik stopped me and told me to at least rent my tux. I told him Leah was in the hospital and probably wasn't going to make it to prom. That's when he got a big grin on his face and grabbed the first tux he saw. We're getting this, he said, pulling me over to the register. It's not even the right color, I said. It doesn't matter. If Leah can't come to prom, we'll take prom to her. That sounded like a genius idea. Malik and I visited Leah in the hospital that night.
For her to die.
She wasn't doing well. Her eyes were sunken with dark black circles around them, and her thinning hair was messy and damp. I asked her mom to please make sure Leah feels beautiful tomorrow when we come back, and she asked why. That's when I pulled her into the hallway and told her we were going to plan the biggest prom party for Leah we could imagine.
Leah's mom looks so fed up, which I understand. But she's like, I'm not even entertaining what Simon has to say. Anyways.
Imagine. Her mother grinned. I hadn't seen her smile like that in months. She gave me the biggest hug and kissed me on my cheek. You are a beautiful person, Simon. We love you. I love you too, I said as I walked away. Now, it was time to plan the prom that would hopefully bring Leah the dream she deserved.
Yes.
That night, I went on Facebook and invited all of Leah's best friends to come to the dance we were having.
He's such a nice
I went to Target and got some fairy lights, a bunch of streamers, and finally to the florist to purchase a beautiful corsage for the most beautiful girl in the world. We advised everyone to get dressed up in their prom attire for the next evening, as we were going to have a shindig whether Leah could go to prom or not. She deserved to be treated like a queen. Although some people declined our invitation as they didn't want to miss their own prom, many of our closest friends said they would come and even planned to bring food, drinks, and other things to make Leah feel like one in a million, which she was. Malik came over the next afternoon and we loaded up his truck with all of the things that we got over the last day and a half, including a Bluetooth speaker and a fog.
If your man's not like this, don't date him. I'm just kidding. Okay.
Machine that Malik found in his sister's room.
Well,
we got dressed in our tuxes and made sure that everyone that said they were coming would be there. Even Malik's girlfriend decided to come along.
Yay!
She got Leah's dress from her house and was going to do her hair and makeup before the dance.
Cute.
I couldn't wait to see the surprised look on Leah's face when we showed up. All night, she was texting me about how sad she was that she was going to miss prom, and she kept begging me to go without her. I told her that wasn't happening, and to just be happy, and I'd see her tomorrow.
I'm sad.
She didn't know we'd have all this for her, and I couldn't wait to show her. The drive to the hospital was filled with anticipation. Leah's mom met us at the front door to take all of the decorations. Leah had been sent to another room to do some tests, so we had time to set up before she got back.
Oh, this is so cute.
In just under half an hour, the hospital room sparkled with fairy lights and had gorgeous blue and green streamers running along the bed and window.
That's adorable.
Malik set up the fog machine, which the doctor said wasn't a good idea, so we had to leave it off. The music was playing softly, and we moved some of the furniture and medical equipment out of the way so we could have a dance floor. Leah arrived, and although she looked pale, her eyes lit up at the sight of what was ahead of her.
Leah!
At the same moment, she started to cry. You guys, I'm not dressed for prom. She giggled and came over to hug me.
We got you.
That's okay. We got everything that you need right here. Take your time. Ashley is going to help you with your makeup and your dress. We'll be waiting out here as long as you need."
So cute.
It seemed like forever, but it was probably only 20 minutes later. Leah emerged from the hospital bathroom with her hair in a braid that wrapped around the top of her head,
I don't see the
and
braid.
her beautiful maroon dress that clung to her in all the right places.
Oh,
It was sparkly
all
and made
the
her
right
eyes glow.
places.
This was the exact moment I realized that I was in love with Leah. It seemed like everything had stopped when she
Best
walked out of the
friends in
bathroom.
love, that's a real
I
love.
was so happy to see her so happy. I went over to her and gave her a huge hug. I pulled her hand up to mine and said, "I'm the luckiest guy in the world to have you as my prom date." Then I slid the corsage on her wrist.
I went to prom.
Malik got the party
single
started, and we
both
all began
years.
to dance, have snacks, and crack jokes about how lame the other prom probably was. After an hour, I could tell that Leah was struggling to keep up. "Hey, you can sit down if you need to." She grabbed onto my arms as I helped her sit in the chair. She was looking pale again.
No.
"Are you okay?" I asked. She waved me off.
No.
"Yeah, I'm fine. Just all the medicine and tests today. I'm tired. But I'm having a great time, and I am so happy and so thankful that you did this, Simon. I really appreciate it. I love you." I know she was saying I love you as a friend, but it made my stomach fill with butterflies. "I love you too, Leah," I said. There must have been a look in my eye that told her I didn't mean as a friend, and that's when she leaned over to kiss me.
Yay!
I had never kissed a girl before. Don't judge me. I know I'm a senior, but it was never something that I thought about. Kissing Leah felt like home.
Look at the way they kiss.
I just didn't want to break her. I knew she shouldn't be kissing me right now. I don't think she cared. We pulled back, and I smiled at her. She rested her head on my chest, and we watched as the other couples danced and threw popcorn at each other from across the room. Thinking back on that night, I am so happy that I was able to give Leah her wish of being my prom date. After everyone left, her and I cuddled on her bed some more. We kissed, and I told her that I loved her again. She pulled me close and set it back, staring into my eyes. Then we both laid down.
I'm not ready for this.
Leah was getting ready to go to bed,
Oh my gosh.
and I was getting ready to head home. Her mom walked in and told me to get out before I got yelled at by the night nurses. We hugged, and I left feeling triumphant,
Oh no!
ready to take on the world.
No.
At 7 the next morning, I received a phone call from Leah's
Here we
mom.
go, y'all. Here we go.
She had passed away in the night, sometime soon after I left the hospital. When she told me, I was speechless. I had plans to go to the hospital today and bring Leah some books she'd wanted to read. There was a big stack of new bestsellers sitting on my desk. I wasn't much of a reader, so the books broke my heart.
That is. So
I started to
sad.
weep. I haven't cried that hard since I was a little boy, but it felt good to let my emotions out. I was practically wailing when my own mother barged in my room to see me laying in the fetal position on the
He
floor.
got a couch in his room.
"What's going
I'm sorry,
on,
that's
Simon?"
not the point.
She said, terrified. I could barely say the words. Leah died.
Oh!
My mom knelt beside me and hugged me for what seemed like hours as I cried. Leah was my best friend, my second half, my one true love.
Dang!
I know it sounds corny, but she was. I just realized over the weekend that I loved this girl more than anything in the entire world. She was always there for me, she never gave up on me, and she was always passionate about what I
This is
wanted in life
sad.
as much as she was about her own desires. I will forever be thankful that I was able to spend Leah's last night with her and with our friends having a blast.
I ain't finna
I'll
cry.
never forget the smile
I'm
on
a
her
bad bitch.
face
Bad bitches don't
and the
cry.
love in her eyes
They
that
do,
night.
but, like,
Although
not on this.
I have to go through the rest of my life without my other half,
Whoo!
I'll be okay. Leah's family will always be a part of my life, and I'm hoping they'll continue to want me in theirs. I do make some pretty incredible hamburgers after all. Leah was caring, gentle, and willing to try anything.
Leah.
So, Today, I'd like you to try and be a little more like Leah. Thank you all for coming. The entire time I was speaking at Leah's funeral, I couldn't stop staring at the photo they used for her memorial. Her senior picture. She had all of her beautiful blonde hair cascading down her back, her huge blue eyes shining in the autumn sun. This was one of her favorite pictures, so I was thankful they shared that with everyone. After I finished my piece, her parents came to hug me. We all cried together, and they thanked me for loving their daughter. That happened over a year ago now, and I'm still recovering from the death of my best friend. Leah's parents are good. We get together every weekend for board games and burgers.
That is so wonderful.
I'm hoping as the years go on, we can continue to have this strong bond, and that whoever I end up with will be half the woman Leah was. I'm sure she'll help me out from where she's looking down on us.
Wow.
Thank you for listening to my story. What was something crazy you did for a friend? Please like and subscribe.
Bruh, that was so sad. I didn't want to start out with a sad one, but here I am. Okay, let's find something crazy for the next one. This next one sounds crazy. It's called, I was stuck upside down on a roller coaster for 3 days with my shirt off. Why did they let you on the roller coaster if you had your shirt off? 1, 2, 3 days? All right, let me see if I believe you. Let me see.
Hey, I'm Louise, and I wanted
Louise.
to tell you how I was stuck on a roller coaster for 3 days.
Tell me about it, Louise.
And that was just the beginning of my problems. It all started when a birthday surprise went really wrong. It was the day of my birthday, and I thought my friends Becky and Dan knew me well enough to know what I'm into. Shopping, spas, and selfies. They told me that we were going on a day out as a surprise, and I was so excited. Until we got there. They had taken me to a lousy theme park. I was so annoyed. Did they think I was a kid? We lined up for over an hour to be among the first people to ride their new roller coaster. It was supposed to be one of the scariest roller coasters in the world.
That's where they done goofed. Sorry for pausing so much, but that's where they goofed because you're not ever one of the first people to test out a roller coaster. Do not ride a roller coaster as soon as they announce it. Couldn't be me.
But I hate them.
Never.
I think they're really scary and they really mess up my hair.
Yikes.
But I didn't want to tell them that. I was really nervous, and then it got worse. We were allocated the front seats.
Ooh, no.
My friends were so excited as they are the best ones, but that just made me even more scared. I felt sick as the ride started.
It's a new
It went
ride.
so fast and there were so many loops. Then, as we went upside down on the biggest loop yet, the ride suddenly stopped.
No.
It happened so quickly that the ride jolted and it really hurt my head and neck.
No,
We were
ma'am.
left hanging upside down. This wasn't part of the ride, surely? I realized quickly that it wasn't. Soon, everyone was screaming. It was like a nightmare. Why wasn't the ride starting again?
I would be so
I
scared.
began to panic. Never in my life had I screamed so loud. I was so terrified. On my left, my friend Becky was uncontrollably crying. On my right, I saw Dan unconscious, and he had blood coming from his
I'm
nose.
scared.
I shouted at him until he opened his eyes. Everyone behind me was crying, screaming, begging for help. I realized there must be about 50 people on this ride, and they were all stuck
Now
like
that I'm
us.
thinking about
The
it, can
sounds
you really
were
stay
terrifying.
upside down for 3 days?
I got out my phone and tried to call for help, but I had no
pop-ups,
signal.
bruh.
I must have passed out for a while,
No,
as when we
pop-up,
woke up, I realized that I had dropped my phone and it was smashed on the ground below.
T.
I was so annoyed, especially as I never bother with insurance. Then I saw
That's
something that
your
made me
Apple
even
Care.
more frightened. There was smoke coming off the train we were on.
What?
It looked like it was going to catch on fire. I looked around. I couldn't even see a fire engine. Then I heard shouting. I thought it was a rescue party, but it wasn't. It was the press. There were reporters and film crews everywhere below filming us and taking
I'd be like,
photos.
help me!
I tried to shout
Forget
at
your
them to help
reports.
us, but they couldn't hear me. I don't know how long we were upside down, but it felt like hours. Then, suddenly, the train moved. It went forward until we were the right way up, at the top of a loop looking downwards.
Oh, okay,
But then the
okay.
ride stopped again.
Well.
I couldn't believe it. Now I was upright. I felt my blood rushing out of my head and
Okay.
back through my body.
Well, at least you went
Becky had
upside
stopped
down,
crying, and I was so angry at her. I started shouting at her, telling her how I hadn't even wanted to go on this roller coaster in the first place, as I was worried something was going to go wrong. And I was right! Then she got angry at me and told me that she thought it was my idea to go to the theme park. I couldn't believe it. Becky was such a liar. Like I would have wanted to come to this stupid theme park. Then Dan woke up. He looked really rough and his voice croaked. He admitted that it was his idea to go to the theme park.
Yikes.
He knew that neither of us wanted to go. He even knew I had a fear of heights. So he told Becky that it was my idea and told me it was Becky's.
What?
Unbelievable!
The pop-ups.
And it didn't stop there. I got so mad that I confessed to Dan that I was the one who spread rumors that he still pees his bed, which is, by the way, true. Becky then told me she kissed my BF in 3rd grade and our fight kept going.
What did this
I
turn
didn't want to talk
into?
to either of them ever again. After 10 hours had passed, I heard a really loud noise like a helicopter above my head.
Yes.
I looked up and saw it wasn't a helicopter. It was a drone.
With food.
It was carrying 3 boxes. It lowered down until it was close to us, and I took the boxes. I handed one to Dan and one to
They better
Becky
be
without
sandwiches.
speaking to them. I opened mine up. Inside of it was a cheeseburger and fries.
We'd love to
I
see
heard
it.
Becky sounding really excited and starting to eat. Dan had passed out again and dropped his on the floor. But I was not impressed.
Dan!
I was on a cleanse and I didn't want to eat anything this unhealthy.
She's annoying.
They could have asked me what I wanted.
Is she serious?
I was about to throw my box onto the ground when I realized there was something else in the box. I heard a ringing sound. It was a mobile phone.
Oh, thank
I
goodness.
answered it. It was someone from the theme park. They told me that we were going to be rescued, but it might take a while. The ride designer was on a Caribbean cruise and he wasn't answering his phone.
That's awkward.
They didn't know how to fix the problem without speaking to him. It was starting to get dark now. I told the man on the phone that he had better get me down soon. If not, I was going to sue.
And that's
I
on
demanded
period.
that he get me some healthy food and a blanket.
Ooh.
It was starting to get cold. I must have fallen asleep as when I woke up, the sun was starting to rise. I was cold and tired and weak. I looked at Dan.
Ooh, I
He
would've
wasn't
hated
moving.
this.
He looked dead.
Dan?
I couldn't believe that the last time I had spoke to him was to get angry at him.
I hope he didn't
It wasn't
die.
his
Oh my
fault the ride
gosh.
went wrong. Then I thought of something terrible. Suddenly, I projectile vomited everywhere.
Ew.
The crowd of camera crew who had been there for 2 days were getting covered in my sick.
Ew.
They ran for cover. As scared as I was also pleased that it hit them. Then I realized I was covered in sick too. It was so
Ew.
gross, and as the sun got higher in the sky, it started to dry and really smell. I had no choice, but I had to take my top off. It took me loads of struggling, but I eventually got
That's
it
why
off.
her top
I
was
dropped it
off.
to the ground below.
Ew.
It was just in my jeans and bra, but you know what? I didn't care. It's not like I had boobs anyway.
Me.
I was as flat-chested as a boy.
Same.
At least I couldn't smell the sick anymore.
True.
That night, I
These
had a
dang
terrible
pop-ups,
night's
y'all. I'm
sleep, and I
sorry.
was so cold. Then I heard the sound of a phone ringing. I was confused for a minute. My phone was gone, so where was it coming from? Then I realized it was a phone that had been in the box. I answered it. It was a journalist who wanted to interview me about the accident.
Forget that.
They wanted to know if I would talk to them. I told them they could speak to me, but only if they would pay me what I wanted, and I asked for a lot of money. He said he would see what he could do. I stayed up all night waiting for him to call me back, but he never did. If that wasn't bad enough, that stupid drone couldn't bring us any more food.
What?
It was apparently too windy for it to fly. The next morning,
Well,
when I
somebody
woke
better
up,
get up
I
here.
heard something loud. It was the sound of the roller coaster going back on. I had never been so pleased. The train started moving again. It went really fast as it finished its course. Finally, it took us to the exit and came to
But
a
what
stop.
about Dan? Is Dan
As soon as the
alive?
restraint lifted, I got up. I was really wobbly. A paramedic came running over to me and wrapped a blanket around me. But I was okay. I didn't have a chance to get upset though, as by then my parents had come running over to me.
True
They were
shame.
so happy to see me, and for once I was happy to see them.
For
They gave me a
once.
drink and some food. Then I remembered something. I felt in my jean pockets. It wasn't there. I had taken a roll of banknotes with me to the theme park. I hadn't known that the theme park was my birthday surprise. I was hoping for a day out shopping, so I had come prepared with all of my savings. Now, they were gone. Then I remembered. They were in the pocket of the top that I had taken off when it got covered in sick. Even though I was really weak, I knew I needed to look for that money. I ran outside and looked around for my top on the floor, but of course, it was gone. I was so upset about the money, but no one seemed to care.
What a
I was
bad
taken to the hospital
birthday.
to recover, but luckily I was okay. I was put on a drip to help pick up my energy, but I didn't mind. Becky was in the next bed. She wasn't so lucky.
Ooh, Becky, did
She
she
needed
die?
lots of injections and tablets to get her better, but she was always the dramatic one. Once my parents
she's
had bought
pretty
me a new
dramatic.
phone, I saw that the accident was on the news. Not just in this country, but all around the world. Then I couldn't believe what I saw. There were pictures of me all over the news, and they were terrible. There was even a film of me being sick into the crowd below, and I was just wearing my jeans and bra. When I got out of the hospital, all of my friends thought it was some big joke. They didn't think about how scary it was to have gone through all this.
But what about
They even
Dan?
started calling me horrible names.
What?
Spewy Louie and Flatty for being flat-chested.
Well-
They thought they were being so funny. My mom and dad were so angry about what happened at the theme park that they decided to sue.
Yes,
I had to
get
stand
your
up in court
point.
and talk about what happened. Our lawyer encouraged me to talk about how scared I was and how
Yes.
awful it must have been to see my friend die.
Get
But
your
I wanted to
point,
talk about the
sis.
things that really affected me. I told them that the food I was bought was horrible and that I wasn't happy that such bad pictures of me was used in the press. Later on, the lawyer told me that my answers weren't that good. But it didn't matter. We won a lot of money anyway.
See?
$1 million.
Dang.
I knew what I wanted to do with the money. I wanted to make sure that people knew who I really
Maybe
was.
somebody
I
should
didn't
get
want
me
to be
stuck
known
in
for the
the,
viral
top of the
girl
day.
pukes on roller coaster
roller
crowd
coaster.
video.
Just kidding,
So I
don't,
spent the
please.
money on myself. I had my teeth whitened and I had a boob job and butt lift, and I paid for a couple of photo shoots with top photographers.
Why?
Now I'm a well-known influencer, and my friends don't
Who?
call me Spewy Louie anymore.
Louise?
What did you think of my story?
well-known
Please share your
influencer, I need
comments
to know who
below,
this
and
is.
don't forget to like.
In the last animation that's called My Crush Was Spying on Me, he saw everything. First of all, what was he doing spying? That's what he gets for spying. Let's start.
My name's Allison,
Hi,
and
Allison.
here's a true story about me.
What's up,
I was
girl?
never what you might call one of the beautiful people. Not like my best
think
friend,
she's pretty.
Shona, who's everything I'm not.
Oh, hey,
While I'm
Shona.
on the plump side, short, mousy, and wear glasses, Shona is tall, blonde, and beautiful.
Okay.
Still, we're good friends, and I try not to let the obvious differences come between us. Every Friday night, a group of us head down to the ice skating rink. To be
that's
honest,
fun.
I'm not much of a skater, and I usually spend more time on the floor than skating.
Yikes.
At least it gets me out of the house. Dad has a new girlfriend, Avril, and I don't think she likes me. She's much younger than my dad and always criticizing how I look, which makes me feel worse
kinda
than
rude.
ever about myself. Shona is always first onto the ice. She's
Queen.
elegant and spins around like a ballerina. I don't mind. I enjoy people watching. I can see Sam Reeves on the ice. I've had a crush on him for years.
So he's
But
the one
like everyone
spying.
else, he doesn't seem to
Sam.
notice me. And besides, he has a girlfriend.
Ooh.
You see, I'm not a very social person.
Me.
I have this low self-esteem.
Not
I've had a few knockbacks
that's
from
okay.
boys, and these days I'm always wary of opening up to anyone new. Anyway, on this particular night, I sat sipping a Diet Coke from a straw and watching the action when I see Tony Franklin. Now, Tony Franklin is an average-looking guy, but has a reputation with the girls. I've never really thought about him before.
maybe
My
Tony
crush on
is
Sam
the,
is all-consuming. Hey, Allison, how's it going? He flashes me this great big smile, and I suddenly know why so many girls fall for him. He stares into my eyes as if I'm the only girl in the world. Tony starts talking to me, and after my initial shock, I start to loosen up a little. His charm is definitely getting to me.
Oh, wow.
I feel honored that someone is interested in little old me.
Look at
For once
y'all.
in a long time, I start to feel relaxed, and my defenses start to crumble a little. Later on, me and some of the guys are going to grab a burger. Do you want to come?
Yes.
His request comes out of the blue, and I pinch my hand to check if I'm dreaming. Nope, definitely not dreaming. A boy has just asked me out on a date.
And if you don't say
Well,
yes,
sort of. I can feel my heart start to beat a little faster. Well, a lot faster, actually. He might not be Sam Reeves,
Me.
but he makes me feel special. Perhaps your friend Shona would like to come too?
Okay, yes.
His question is like a slap in the face.
oh,
So that's it. I should have guessed. Tony's not interested in me at all. He's after Shona. It's silly,
That
but
sucks.
suddenly I feel betrayed. So angry. I'd let my defenses down, allowed a moment of weakness, and had been used.
that sucks.
He must think I'm stupid or something. Suddenly, I feel myself standing, which isn't easy when you're wearing ice skating boots, but I try to look as dignified as possible. I don't think I've ever felt as humiliated in my life, not even with my dad's new girlfriend. And in a fit of rage, I throw the Diet Coke straight into his face.
Ooh.
That's what I think of you and your burger. Have a nice time with Shona. I stagger off toward the changing rooms
As
with
she
tears
should.
in my eyes. Shona is a good friend and comes to join me in the changing rooms. She asks what's wrong, but I feel so stupid that I don't tell her. It's not her fault that guys prefer her to me. I tell her that I don't feel well, and she walks me home. I see Tony Franklin watching us, and I want to stick 2 fingers up at
Why
him.
did he wait?
His little plan
Tony got
to
a
use
lot of
me
nerve,
has
that's for
backfired
sure.
tonight. When I get home, I go straight to my room. Dad and Avril are out, as usual. He never went out as much with Mom. Dad's not been the
Yikes.
same since Mom died 3 years ago. I think that's about the time I started to pile on the weight. I was so
She's
unhappy.
not even, big.
Dad was in a mess, too. I wanted him to find someone else, but not someone like Avril.
Yeah, she
Whenever
rude.
Avril and I argue, which is most of the time,
takes Avril's
Dad
side.
always takes her side.
I knew it.
It's just not fair. I hardly sleep that night, and the sounds of Dad and Avril making out in the next room
Ew.
doesn't help much. Gross. I stay in my room all weekend, moping about. I don't want to go to college on Monday, and I try to keep out of Tony's way. I rush back home from college without waiting for Shona. I don't want to speak to anyone, just want to be safe and on my own again. As soon as I walk into the house, I can tell that something's changed. The living room seems tidier than usual. It takes me a moment to notice. All Mom's pictures have been taken down. All her photos and the
It
ornaments
must
she
be
collected,
the wife or the
all
girlfriend.
gone, as if she had never existed. Avril is sat reading a magazine on the sofa and looks up at me rather triumphantly. You're home early, Allison.
I'm ready to
I
fight.
feel the anger start to rise. Where are Mom's photos? She puts down the magazine rather carefully onto the sofa and folds her arms. Your dad and I thought it would be better if we got rid of all the things from the past.
But did
A
you
fresh
ask
start,
me?
you know?
But did you
I
ask
look at
me,
her in
Avril?
disbelief.
Ooh.
How dare you remove my mother's things? I
Period.
spit the words out at her. Avril sighs and looks at me with her steely blue eyes. Your dad and I thought it would be for the best. Dad would never agree to this. I shake my head in disbelief. At that moment, Dad comes out of the kitchen and immediately stands with Avril,
Of
placing
course.
his arms protectively around her. What's going on? He asks as if he doesn't know. Dad, where are all of Mom's things? Now, listen, Alli, don't get upset. We just thought it was for the best.
Me,
How
Alli.
dare you, Dad? How dare you forget about Mom like this? It's
Right.
all her doing. Where are Mom's things? I point to Avril, my arms shaking with rage. They're in the kitchen, Dad starts. Look, Alli,
Okay.
there's something I need to tell you.
Not to-
Avril and I are getting married.
Yikes.
I don't want to hear any more. And I rush into the kitchen and find the boxes of Mom's stuff.
Take it upstairs, sis.
Mom. I cry over the boxes
But
before
I need to know when the guy is going to spy on her. No offense. Period.
taking them up to my room. I can't bear the thought of being in the same house as Dad and Avril.
Right.
And as soon as I have my mom's things stored safely under my bed, I rush back outside. I don't have anywhere to go, but I start walking. Hey, a voice calls after me about halfway down the street.
The Creed.
I don't look around. I know that voice. It's Tony. I walk quickly, but soon I hear footsteps running behind to catch up to me.
Not running.
Hey, stop
Tony,
a minute.
relax.
What's the matter? I don't want to talk to anyone, especially not Troy Franklin, but somehow he keeps up with me. And we walk to the park.
I thought his
I
name
wish
was
he'd leave me
Tony.
alone, but I'm too upset to talk. I make my way down to the lake to sit on a bench, and Tony sits next to me. What are you doing here, Tony? He shrugs. You seemed upset. I was worried about you. I looked up into his eyes. He looked genuinely concerned, but all I can feel is anger and hate.
Yeah, because
This is the guy that humiliated me.
Exactly.
His face is close to mine, and I want to reach out and slap him, but then I have another idea. I put my face up to his and kiss him. If he can use me, then I can use him.
Period, sis.
I can feel his
Uh-oh.
surprise.
Toxic
but
behavior.
then I feel his arms around me, and his lips embrace mine. His lips are soft and warm, but it wasn't quite the reaction I was expecting.
She shot her
I
shot.
wanted to shock Tony, and I quickly pull away and stand up. Just leave me alone, Tony. I hate you. I can feel his eyes on me as I walk away.
She's really
I managed to
confusing
keep
right
my
now, though.
distance from Tony for a whole week.
Ooh.
Occasionally, I see him at college, but I always turn in the opposite direction. The sight of him disturbs me, and
why'd
somehow
you kiss
I
him?
can't forget that kiss. It's about 2 weeks later, on a Saturday night at the local
Sis is
disco, when I
confused.
bump into him again. I have not spoken a word to my dad or Avril since the day they moved Mom's things,
Dang.
and it's really frosty back home. It's toward the end of the evening when I notice him. I've been sat at the bar with my Diet Coke watching Sam having a row with his girlfriend.
Uh-oh.
I'm so intent on trying to listen to what they're saying over the music that I don't notice Tony lurching toward me.
He's obsessed,
He's
ladies
drunk.
and gentlemen.
Alli, he slurs.
No.
I've been looking for you.
Don't say my name.
I try and ignore him, but he won't go away and plonks himself on the chair next to me. Will you join me? He
No.
sways toward the bar. I cross my arms and scowl at him. Don't you think you've had enough? What would your dad say? Tony's dad is a police officer, and Tony would be in for it if he was caught.
Yikes.
To my surprise, he slams his fist down on the bar. My dad can go to hell. I hate him. His words strike home to me, and for a moment,
Tony
I
about
feel
to
almost
unload some
empathy for
feelings.
this boy I've grown to hate. Why? What's wrong? I ask, genuinely concerned. Tony puts his head in his hands. You wouldn't understand. Try me? I challenge back. Then it all comes out. He starts telling me how his mom and dad are
told you.
always arguing and how he hates to go
Unloading
home.
all his feelings.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't be telling you all this. I gotta go. He stands, and against my better nature, I grab hold of his arm, feeling a sudden rush of sympathy for the guy.
Ooh.
Hey, there's no need to... Tony turns toward me, a strange look in his eye. Ellie, Before he can finish his sentence, he lurches forward and grabs me in a passionate and drunken embrace.
I don't know.
His lips find mine and crush against me. I'm full of mixed emotions.
Yeah.
The guy I hate most in the world is kissing me,
And you
he's
like it.
drunk. But I feel a slight tingle of pleasure. What on earth is going on? I struggle to get away, but he holds me tight in his arms. Tony! Tony! I beat at his back as he
Hey.
staggers about with me in his arms until he finally topples over and crashes to the floor, taking me with him.
Bruh.
Hey, are you okay? A hand reaches over to pull me upright. I look up, and it's Sam Reeves. Is this guy bothering you? He asks. We both look down at Tony, lying spread eagle on the floor.
Yikes.
He's a sorry sight, a right mess. Come on, I'll walk you home.
Oh, shoot.
Sam takes my arm
She got her
and leads
real
me out of the
man.
bar. I can hardly believe it. Sam Reeves is walking me home. It's a beautiful, starlit night, and as we walk,
I wonder
Sam
who the
tells me
stalker's
that
gonna
he's
be. Is it
split with
Sam or
Anna,
Tony?
his long-term girlfriend. Apparently, they've been rowing too much. I listen in silence as he unburdens himself. It's been one of those nights. As we approach my house, Sam stops and gazes at me. You know, Alli, he says,
What?
you're one of those girls that I can really talk to. Not like Anna, she never really listened. And then he kisses
she
me.
got 2 kisses
I've laid
in one
in bed
night.
100 times imagining Sam kissing me, and as his lips touch mine, I wait for the explosion in my heart, the fireworks in the sky.
Period.
But it doesn't happen.
And that's on love.
His lips are soft and warm, but I don't get the thrill I imagine.
Oh, JK.
The strange thing is, all I can think about is that kiss with Tony.
Never mind, y'all.
Damn him. I hate him. He's even ruined this moment for me.
Dang, this story getting good.
Sam says goodnight, and we make a date for the following week.
Why though?
There's going to be a big end-of-term party on Friday night, and Sam asks me to be his partner. I can hardly believe it. All week I spend getting ready. It's the event of the college year, and I want to look my best for Sam.
True chains.
Shona helps. She's so pleased for me and lends me a dress to wear.
Shauna's so
I have
nice.
my hair and nails
Go,
done,
girl.
and by the time Friday comes,
She thick.
I can hardly wait.
We
As I
love
look
to
at
see
myself in the mirror, I can't help smiling to myself. The ugly duckling seems to be turning into a swan after all. Coming down the stairs, Dad sees me and stops, his eyes misting over. We've hardly spoken over the last few weeks. Hey, Alli, you look gorgeous, just like your mom. He comes and hugs me, and it seems like the first father and daughter moment we've had since Mom died. Maybe we can work something out after all. Sam picks me up in his car, and I'm so proud. He even bought me
She
a
don't even like
corsage
him.
and pins it proudly on my dress.
A player.
The first person I see when we enter the sports hall is Tony. He
Dang.
looks smart, almost handsome.
Smart.
And something shifts in my heart. I guess that I'm just feeling sorry for him. He smiles, but because I'm with Sam, he doesn't come over. I notice there's no significant other on his arm, which is unlike Tony. It's a great night. We laugh and dance, but something's not right. And I find that at moments, I'm looking around the room trying to see where Tony is. It's ridiculous, and I try and pull myself back to the moment. I'm with Sam Reeves, my dream date. But it's not enough. Towards the end of the night, I notice that Sam is distracted too. It's almost time for the last dance, and he seems agitated. Alli, are you all right? Are you having a good time? He asks me.
Yeah.
I smile. Of course, Sam. I'm having a great time. Is that why you keep looking out for Tony? He states. I shake my head, start to deny it, but what's the use? Sam has hit the nail on the head. Only one person has been on my mind all night. Tony Franklin. I'm sorry, Sam. You've been so kind. He just smiles. Well, I've got a confession. I've realized that I still love Anna, and I must go and find her.
Go get her.
Would you mind?
Y'all gonna break up again.
I shake my head, almost relieved when Sam walks away. I'm alone again, just like before. I glance around the room, but Tony is still nowhere in sight. He's probably kissed half the female population already. I don't want to be here for the last dance, and I head for the cloakroom when a hand grabs my arm. Hey, where are you going? I turn around to see Tony. I just bumped into Sam, he says. You said you were looking for me? Without another word, he leads me onto the dance floor as the slow and smoochy love song starts up. My heart is beating fast and my whole body tingles. So this is what love feels like when it finally comes. Tony reaches forward and kisses me. A slow, lingering kiss. And this time, I know it's for real. What do you think of my story? Has love come to you in an unexpected form? Feel free to share your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Wait.
Hi.
Wait. What did the crush see? Did y'all even get a... Did he see that... He see that you was with your other crush? Like, that story was misleading. I'm mad, and I'm sorry that I left you on that note. But if you enjoyed this video of me reacting to stuff, let me know so I can react to more things. I hope we didn't get copyright strike, but we'll see. That story was misleading. I'm so mad. But anyways, don't forget to pre-order my EP Mental Notes. It comes out on Friday. That's 2 days from now. I'm shook. So have a great day in the name of the Lord. May God bless you every step.